Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Snapt Achieving Scalability and Agility webinar. We're going to be talking through the Snapt Partner Program, as well as why an ADC is integral to any project. We're going to wait a little bit longer for one or two more attendees to join us. We're looking forward to kicking things off. I've got Simon, who is the Head of Solution Architecture for North America at Snapt, and very excited to have you, Simon. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for having me, Gabby.
Looking forward to the presentation. We'll discuss some of the structure and what we're going to cover in terms of the partner program, essentially why an ADC is critical to project. And obviously this will be recorded and distributed to anyone who has attended or otherwise. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat, as well as send through any to either Simon or the team here. And we're looking forward to engaging with you all. So as I said, we're going to give everyone about 1 or 2 minutes to join. And then Simon will hand over to you to introduce yourself and kick things off.
Perfect.
I see a few new people have joined. So as just mentioned, we're going to be waiting for a few more attendees to jump on, and then Simon is going to take over. But as we head to about 5 minutes in, we'll run through why an ADC is integral to any project, as well as Snapt's partner program, and essentially achieving scalability and agility through any project and where Snapt fits in. So as mentioned, Simon is Head of our Solutions Architecture. And Simon, you've got about 1 more minute to kick things off. Would you mind starting with a bit of background to yourself, and then we'll kick things off in terms of the presentation?
Okay, absolutely. And thank you, Gabby. And hello, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world who's joined us today. This webinar is going to be covering the subject of achieving scale and agility, and why ADC is such an important part of that project. But first, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Simon Michelson. I am the Head of Solution Architecture here at Snapt, covering North America, leading design, architecture, and technical operations for Snapt products. So nice to meet everyone, and we will go ahead and get started. And really, just really the foundation or the basic premise is what are we dealing with today as companies, as IT departments, organizations that are constantly responsible for delivering reliable and secure information technology. If you look at the market and as how it was shaped previously, and also with the new era in the COVID world, we're looking at a very significant online surge. We see a lot of companies, a lot of vendors are moving a lot of content to be able to consume it online. Previously, we were used to people coming into the office and effectively accessing internal resources, but even that is not the case anymore. We have more and more users working from home, users that are accessing data from over their internet. So not only we saw an increase previously with consumption of online services, but especially now, the way we do our business as companies, as enterprises, that has completely shifted to be 100% online. And we see many companies moving their application services, their web services, implementing VDI projects to offer desktops for users that are working remote. We see a lot of companies moving to using Office 365 and Exchange and collaboration systems such as Teams and Slack, and of course, a lot of more VPN. And that really shows that we are adapting to this new world of doing business, and that's 100% online. And we see an exponential rise in that consumption of online services. So to be able to accommodate all of this growth, we need faster networks. There's more data that we're running over those circuits, whether it's our VPN connections or whether it's if it's our home internet bandwidth. That's what we're using to access those types of services and platforms and applications. So we see a lot more data flowing through these networks, but of course we have a lot more endpoints more than ever as users. We have our phones, we have our iPads, our computers, and we need to be able to keep up with that demand. Also, we identify that this is a new era of computing. We have data centers that are globally available in every country, in every continent. We also have cloud platforms that application vendors and companies are deploying to Amazon Web Services, to Microsoft Azure, to Google Cloud Platform, and others. And we need to be able to adjust and to be able to deliver IT infrastructure essentially from anywhere, any cloud, any container or server platform. So as a result of that, we also see a new delivery method for application delivery. So when you're looking at modern continuous integration, continuous deployment type of solutions, we have the rise of DevOps and SecOps, of delivering infrastructure in a very consistent manner that it ensures performance, security, and reliability. As part of that, we also see an increase in the amount of microservices types of applications that are further creating a lot more opportunity in the ADC market. So when you combine all of these together, the increase in online activity, the exponentially growing networks, and the new way of delivering software, we really are looking at a platform that will be able to accommodate and support us going forward, not only in the way we've done business for the last 20 years, but also in the future as we continue to adapt and embrace and deploy new applications. We want to choose a platform that will able to support us, and that is Snapt, powering that next generation application services delivery to make sure that our platforms are scalable, performant, and of course secure. So introducing Snapt and who we are and what do we do. Snapt was founded back in 2012. In 2019, we've announced our Nova product. And really, the mission we had was to accelerate that global delivery of application services. The fundamental understanding that the data that users can reside everywhere, in any continent, any country, and therefore the application must also be that widely dispersed and geographically available. So that, needless to say, presents a lot of challenges, and we aim to be able to deliver solutions that could help those application developers to be able to deliver a highly secure and a highly performant service to their end users. You can see some examples of the top tier clients we're working with, from Fortune 50 companies to of course federal and security agencies. Snapt has presence in leading brands, and of course and government entities as well. That speaks volumes to the emphasis we have from a functionality perspective, and of course the DNA and software methodology of implementing a secure and a reliable platform to be able to address the needs of these large entities and customers. And really, what inspires us, and the big shift we're seeing in the market is that transition from servers to services. We see a lot of companies are moving from hardware appliances to, of course, adopting software, and really decoupling, abstracting the physical delivery from the actual functionality of that application. And that is a big driver in today's industry, as far as how applications are being deployed, managed, and scaled. Previously, in the last 20 to 30 years, we would have bought servers, deploy them, and that's how we would enable certain functionality. That type of delivery is, of course, resource hungry. It has a lot of potentially of over-speccing or over-allocating infrastructure more than what we actually need. In the new paradigm of IT delivery, we're looking at services, and specifically microservices that are lightweight, that can run anywhere, any cloud container or on-premise data center, and provide that same functionality through software, essentially independent of the underlying hardware platform. So today, we're deployed at over 50 countries with over 10,000 users are actively using the Snapt ADC platform to deliver reliable and secure application services. To move forward, we essentially introducing Snapt Aria and Snapt Nova. Within the Snapt ADC platform, we have two products. It's a complete and unified future-proof ADC platform that is aiming to address both the traditional workloads as well as new and modern microservices types of workloads that are deployed in containerized and cloud platforms. So when you look at, for example, it's Snapt Aria on the left portion of this diagram. Snapt Aria is essentially geared towards addressing north-south traffic control, application delivery, load balancing, web application firewall, acceleration, and GSLB to the perimeter of our network, essentially providing access to data center resources, whether these are VMs, servers, or any type of application through an application delivery controller. Now we can deploy Aria across multiple data centers and deliver that capability geographically, but it's typically deployed as a standalone product. The comparison to draw is to Aria is effectively a cost-effective replacement, a lightweight replacement to a solution such as F5 or Citrix. It is platform independent, so Aria can run on any cloud or a virtual platform. We can run on any hypervisor as a virtual appliance. So in that regard, we're platform independent, and we are VM based. Now, shifting on and looking more of how the new paradigm of IT services delivery and application services, we're looking at Snapt Nova. Snapt Nova was introduced to the market in 2019, and it really aims to be able to address the needs of those new and modern type of applications that offer the ability to scale on demand, to be able to deploy on any platform, to be able to load balance traffic and add security to microservices, Kubernetes, service mesh, and it's remotely controlled. So it's a fully managed ADC offering that allows us to configure our specifications and, of course, deploy them to any location, any instance where we need to provide traffic control. This way, with these two products, we offer the most complete ADC offering that exists in the market today, addressing both the traditional applications that require more of a north-south type of traffic control, but of course also accommodating the east to west and microservices architecture with full remote control and separation between data plane and control plane to accommodate for that massive scale and explosion of data services. And really, just to talk a little bit about our philosophy and how we apply our methodology to our products. There are really 5 guiding principles that we use, and whenever we think about how we design our products and what type of functionality we're implementing. So one key aspect is, of course, that the entire platform is software defined. We can run on any hypervisor, whether it's ESX, KVM, Hyper-V, any cloud platform from Google to Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, and of course, container platforms such as Kubernetes. The entire platform is delivered as software and could be deployed on any types of infrastructure. From an agility method, we embrace the concepts of DevOps and continuous integration and continuous deployment. We think that ADCs should be deployed in a matter of seconds because scaling both out and in, and to be able to address that instant demand is critical in the modern world that we live in. So definitely employing concepts of shift left in terms of quality, testing, reliability, and constantly ensuring that our platform is up to the standards to be able to address those types of clients that we've mentioned previously is key to be able to deliver critical business applications in the speed of light. We constantly innovate. We love working with cutting edge technology. Our entire platform is cloud native, metadata first, and really employing the most modern concepts of IT delivery in our software methodology. We want to be as much open as we can and provide external systems with access to our APIs. DevOps is a critical market for us to be able to provide solutions to that type of community. And we provide several types of integrations for visibility and access, which we'll see as we go through this presentation. And lastly, collaboration is a key aspect. We want to work together with you. We believe that true success is a result of a good partnership, and no single person is better than a team. So in that regard, we are always here to listen, to learn, to and of course be able to address needs and challenges the best way we can through collaboration. So we've introduced the two products, both Aria and Nova, and I've mentioned that Aria is an ADC platform that really enables that north-south type of traffic control, which we all know and love and have been implementing for the past 20 to 30 years. What I really wanted to talk about today is to introduce the Snapt Nova platform in more detail. And the Nova platform, just to put it simply, is a lightweight and centrally managed per application ADC. Now, what I mean by that is, if we take a look at this diagram, for instance, we have two primary components here. We have the Nova Cloud Controller, which is a hosted and fully managed ADC platform with a control plane that is able to deploy, manage, and scale lightweight worker ADCs. Now, the worker ADC is providing that entire stack that you can see for each application. That stack is comprised of a load balancer, that's layer 7. It's highly efficient in that regard, that it's all done through software. It's extremely lightweight, and it's able to process with a few gigs of RAM and a few virtual CPUs up to 100,000 transactions per second and requests per second. And of course, incorporating TLS offloading. We then have web acceleration included within that same stack that offers compression, caching, and overall improving the load times for your application. So if you're struggling with applications that are performing slowly, the ADC can extremely improve the speed of which pages are being loaded. And of course, security is extremely important, especially in today's day and age, when you see companies quickly shifting their applications from internal networks to external networks, because a lot of the workforce has moved to work remote. Security is always going to be something we're going to have to keep in the back of our minds, because if we're making that transition too fast, we may have not have had the opportunity to make sure that it complies with all the security controls we should have in place. So having the ADC that fronts our application be able to deliver protection against those 10 most common security threats, such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery. That's built into the ADC as well, and it could be enabled with a click of a button. And of course, the GSLB function, or what we call the Nova destination, which is a dynamic endpoint that can help us deliver application globally. We can provide access to that same application through multiple continents, through Asia Pac, Europe, and North America, and other locations, simply by providing access to the Nova destination. This way, we're able to not only provide high availability across different sites, but as well as ensure that the users are routed to the nearby presence of our application, so the instance that's closest to them, so they get the best user experience. Now, on the back end, of course, that your application resides, and you have the choice of deploying both the ADC and your application on any hypervisor, server, cloud, or container platform. And from a traffic standpoint, Snapt is highly flexible, and we offer ADCs that can balance traffic for TCP, UDP, layer 4, and of course layer 7 with HTTP, HTTPS, SSL termination, remote desktop, and many more, which we'll see. Now, what's really unique about this architecture is that it's a per application ADC. This is not a single host that is responsible necessarily for all of our applications combined. We can deploy a dedicated ADC configuration for each application, realizing that every application might have its own unique configuration, unique security controls, unique acceleration settings that we need to apply. It's extremely easy to build those configurations and apply them to any instance, and we'll see that during the demo today. But really, what's the uniqueness of Nova is that it's centrally managed. And that's the cloud controller piece that we can see at the top. That control plane that we're able to provide automated deployment, and of course, continuous configuration management and updates to the worker ADCs is really what makes this a truly scalable platform. That the control plane is not sitting together with the data plane, and through that control plane, you get a lot of visibility, all the telemetry information, the metrics, essentially all the data that is related to the performance of that ADC, as well as your application, is being captured and is visible to you centrally through a dashboard on the Nova Cloud Controller. If we take a look and examine a real world or real life architecture of how Nova would be deployed to balance and secure an application that's deployed globally. In this example, you can see an application that is deployed across 3 main locations. At the bottom, we have a data center presence of those blue boxes at the bottom, providing north-south traffic control. That could be deployed on servers or, of course, virtual machines, ESX, KVM, and Hyper-V. On the middle section, we have a cloud deployment of that same application. Now, that could be DigitalOcean, Google, AWS, and Microsoft Azure. And lastly, on the right, at the bottom right, we can see also a container-based deployment running Kubernetes, Envoy Proxy, and Rancher. There's really no limit with how platform agnostic Snapt Nova is. We can run on any of those type of infrastructures. And what we can see here is an application that is globally available. It has sites in the United States East Coast and another site running in Europe. We have a global server load balancer, that purple rectangle, that performs geographically enabled high availability between those 2 sites. So if Europe were to go to become unavailable, then traffic would flow through the US East, and of course, users coming from the United States are routed to the East Coast, and users coming from Italy, for example, will reach the European target. Another concept that is really clear in this example is that Snapt Nova has a scale on demand functionality, an autoscaler function that is able to quickly expand and deploy additional ADCs as utilization becomes high. In the middle section, where we can see the scaling gray box, we can see the Nova autoscaler function running from the cloud controller, automatically deploying another node, because we've identified that the European node is operating at 80% utilization on CPU because it's the Super Bowl and we have a lot more traffic today. So we might need to deploy instantly another node to be able to handle that traffic. So that deployment of an ADC, connecting it to your backend, and of course connecting it to your GSLB, is fully automated in seconds and facilitated by the Nova Cloud controller. We can also see that all of the ADCs that are deployed worldwide report their status, health information, metrics through that control plane to the Nova Cloud controller, and we have dashboards that we can see the analytics and performance. And of course, if we identify nodes that are performing poorly, if we identify any type of anomaly in the activity of the nodes, we can quickly self-heal them, or we can choose to deploy another node and simply do a non-destructive cutover between one ADC to the other. Okay. Now, from a traffic standpoint, you can see the various types of layer 4 and layer 7 traffic management that we offer, from HTTP, HTTPS, SSL termination, MySQL, remote desktop, DNS, SMTP, and of course, TCP and UDP traffic. So this will be a good example of how we would deliver an ADC globally to facilitate security performance for a globally available application. Now, this model, of course, is repeated in any type of application backend, whether it's a remote desktop to a VDI backend, or if it's an HTTP front end to a WordPress backend, for instance. Okay. Now, if we take a look at the ecosystem, we offer a wide variety of integrations and hooks into the platform. And that's really for you to be able to drive as much value as you can. When you think of traditional architectures that are siloed, you get very limited visibility to the performance of every node. And it's really hard many times to reconcile all that information and bring it all under one dashboard and really drive some insight from that. We speak to a lot of clients that are having a difficult time reconciling all the different security logs from multiple ADCs they have deployed, or alternatively, if there's some suspicious access done on one of them, how can they quickly identify, determine, and maybe deploy those types of security controls to additional nodes so they're not vulnerable. So all the concept of live monitoring, a threat center, and alerts is built in centrally to the Nova Cloud controller, and with information that is captured on the individual ADCs and reported to a centralized system. Now, of course, the ADCs themselves can offer cutting-edge integrations with platforms such as Prometheus for the Prometheus Explorer for live metrics. Of course, SNMP for traditional queries and traps and sending signals for the health of the ADC host and application. And of course, syslog data for forensics and keeping long-term log management. But in the Nova Cloud controller, we're able to consolidate and bring together all those signals that we've captured from the individual worker ADCs we have deployed globally under one platform. And that information is accessible, of course, through RESTful APIs. We have hooks to Slack and of course, email notifications that we alert you immediately if we identify any type of suspicious activity. And of course, there's a centralized threat center, and we'll see that during the demo. From an integration standpoint, we do we've invested quite a bit of work in ensuring that the entire platform could be deployed in a matter of seconds. Now, that is facilitated by leading automation systems such as Chef, Puppet, and Ansible, Terraform, where you can define a declarative configuration that could immediately spin up a Nova ADC, register it with the Nova Cloud Controller, and you're ready to go and start securing and balancing traffic to your upstream and backend nodes. We have a security integration with Let's Encrypt. So for generation and of course renewal of security certificates, it's as simple as adding your domain to the Nova Cloud Controller, and we will take care of the rest for you. We will generate the certificate for your website, of course, assuming you have authorization, and we will continuously renew that every 90 days. And then lastly, when it comes to inventory and understanding how big your deployment is today, we have a centralized inventory where you can see all of the different nodes, their location, how they're performing, whether they're healthy. And that really helps in terms of capacity planning and, of course, scaling. The scaling is done automatically in the system where we define certain boundaries for minimal and maximum auto-scaling type of group. And that is all captured using that centralized dashboard and inventory. On the platform section, we can run on any hypervisor, server, or container platform. You can see that we've you will find our images and containers for all the leading cloud, server, and operating system providers. It's extremely lightweight, again, with simply a couple of virtual CPUs and a couple gigs of RAM. You can deploy an ADC that is ready to balance 100,000 requests per second. Okay. From a resiliency standpoint, and that is, of course, a question that comes up quite often. How do I ensure that my application is always on, always highly available, effectively ensuring that our uptime is maximum? We have uptime requirements to keep up with as IT leaders and as enterprise companies. Sometimes these could be even 5 nines. And ADCs are an integral part to ensuring that uptime of your application. We speak to many clients that typically sometimes can overlook this. Or maybe do not have the right controls in place to make sure that their application is both locally and geographically redundant. Of course, the application needs to support it on the back end, but an ADC could help ensure that if there's an interim outage that is networking related, we always have another path that is already configured and ready to go to be able to still reach our application. So in this example, we can see a geo-redundancy example where we have a London and a New York site, both with the same backend, and we have ADCs for the corresponding sites. And we have our user that is attempting to access the London site, but of course, if that becomes unavailable, he will be automatically redirected to the New York site. And that speaks volumes, of course, in terms of business continuity and disaster recovery, which is a crucial part in IT delivery in this modern world where we live in. But of course, local redundancy is as important. If I experience a small failure in my data center that is hardware related, it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to completely fail over to another site and cause potentially my users to go over a WAN connection and receive a slower experience. We can deploy our ADCs in a cluster, effectively in a group that they're able to communicate between each other. And if anything happens to the primary node, the secondary node assumes responsibility and promotes himself to start delivering the traffic to your backend. So that is, of course, needless to say, included in the platform and extremely important for business continuity to ensure that you have an always-on architecture. Okay. From a partnership program, I mentioned before that we're great believers in collaboration. It's part of our philosophy that is the secret to success, and to further help, and from a collaboration standpoint, we offer a very leading and broad a partner program. So that starts by, of course, providing a full stack ADC offering. Typically, with other competitors, other companies, you would typically run into different products that you have to purchase to enable certain functionality. And we have an all-inclusive offering that includes the web application firewall, the accelerator, the load balancing, and of course the GSLB function, all included in one platform. And of course, with the ability to centrally manage and control that through a fully managed ADC platform. We support the sales campaigns. So we're here to support, of course, technically, and provide, of course, the practice and the collateral and the information to be able to be successful in delivering on those campaigns. And of course, from an enablement standpoint, we can run POCs. We can provide that 24/7 technical support to the teams in case they need some further training and assistance with getting onboarded. Lead distribution and co-marketing activities to be able to target clients together and really provide a coherent and cohesive message to our users. And then lastly, we can also offer licenses for a free community edition for lab environments. If you're looking to deploy and try out Nova for yourself, so you'll be able to better position and describe it and its uniqueness to your end customers. So why Snapt? And really, it's a fresh approach to application services delivery in the modern era. Really understanding that traditional ADCs are also here to stay for the time being, but there's a whole new way of IT services delivery, and that needs to be, of course, addressed. So we feel that we're the most unified platform to be able to address both, essentially, that transition between legacy applications that are north-south traffic control to more of a container microservices type of east-west traffic control that we can see in the DevOps world. So it's a fully featured ADC platform, again, including all the different components in one solution, and applicable to both the traditional and modern architectures. It's lightweight, fast, and platform independent. And again, looking at other solutions that are very resource hungry, they were built in a monolithic manner. It's harder for them to scale, harder for them to really expand their footprint and do things like configuration and deployment. Snapt is deployed in a matter of seconds. Updates are distributed in a matter of seconds. And of course, it's extremely lightweight to be able to horizontally scale globally as our needs and users scale with that as well. So these are also ADCs that are very easy to deploy. And when we say easy, we think about the indirect, of course, cost involved in management overhead required to run and manage the system. So when you think of traditional solutions, you might have dedicated people that are specifically experts in that particular ADC technology, and that presents challenges, especially as your footprint expands beyond the data center to cloud providers, to container platforms. It's hard to maintain that expertise across those different clouds. And Nova really helps streamline that with automated deployment, service discovery, and automatic scaling to be able to simplify the use and overall the amount of changes required to be able to deliver access to your backend applications. So that results in significant decrease in the management overhead leveraging our platform. It is future-proof. When you think about more extended use cases of threat prevention and machine learning. I like typically to give a common example that we do that is completely missing from other ADC products is when you think of a threat coming in from one country, because there's currently a denial of service attack on the servers that are deployed in Europe. Our platform is smart enough to be able to detect that, and of course distribute the access control settings to other ADCs you have deployed in other locations. So it's a continuously global learning platform that we're able to propose and implement changes to your security posture and to the settings of your ADC in real time. And of course, the entire stack is cloud native, as I mentioned before, with containers, service mesh, and really adopting that DevOps type of delivery as infrastructure as code, and be able to do more with less. And lastly, from a cost perspective and total cost of ownership, we offer a fully featured ADC that is very flexible in terms of the different billing and options that we provide, whether it's node-based, bandwidth, or even time-based billing, which you see more in the cloud delivery of applications, where you're effectively being charged for what you're actually using. So that level of flexibility is key, and really helps address both the existing needs as, of course, future needs related to application delivery.
Simon, and quickly before we move on, I think it's been great to sort of discuss the architecture and really our partner program on the platform. But just to touch base a little bit more before we jump into the demo and the next steps on sort of typical customer profiles, use cases, and verticals that partners typically see within their own customer base. Run us through what that sort of looks like from an application perspective, from the Aria side as well as the Nova side, and then we can jump in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you, Gabby. So from a use case standpoint, there's really a wide variety of application needs that the ADC can help address. We get involved with many clients that need to load balance traffic for VDI instances over remote desktops. So we help when it comes to balancing traffic to VMware Horizon, to Citrix VDI backends. We see lots of VPN load balancing requirements, of course, and delivering an ADC to be able to load balance that traffic as well. And of course, web applications and any type of web application that requires, of course, SSL offloading and the ability to intercept the traffic and be able to route that to the designated hosts. So these are just very high-level examples. So I'll give an actual sample example from one of our scenarios. One of our leading customers is effectively a web application for banking that has presence in over 40 locations. And the ability to balance users across those 40 instances. And that's a globally deployed banking application that has, of course, a web service that users interact with, either through a mobile application or through their browser. And the requirements are typically to ensure high availability, redundancy across the stack, and security as regards to the common 10 threats. And then lastly, when it comes to performance, ensuring that users are always routed to the nearby target, wherever they reside. Gabby, I hope that captures, but please feel free to expand. Yeah.
No, that was absolutely perfect. Thanks, Simon. I think that paints a bit more color for our partners and everyone on the call with regards to sort of the customer profile and where we slot in from a use case perspective.
Okay. Excellent. So to summarize, and before we transition for the demo, we specialize in accelerated application delivery. essentially providing that complete platform, that unified platform to be able to deliver load balancing, security, acceleration, and GSLB across any application. It's really embracing of modern practices and cloud native and microservices architectures, and to be able to deliver both to the traditional type of architectures that are north-south, and of course more east-west modern applications that are more container-based. And we help to solve that in a single solution that is centrally managed, controlled, and provides visibility across all the different nodes. So with that, we're going to break out and do a short demo of Nova. And in this example, we're going to run through the 4 basic steps of how you can deploy an ADC to balance traffic to your website. In this example, we're going to have 4 WordPress servers that are displaying a website. So that's going to be our application backend. So that could be an example of an HTTPS application that we need to provide security and performance for. And what we're going to go ahead and do first is we're going to deploy a Nova Worker ADC node. That is going to be our host that is going to run our application delivery controller. That node can be automatically deployed to any cloud platform, or we can choose to deploy it ourselves to a container or a virtual machine or an operating system. So in this demo, we're going to use a Docker container to host our ADC. Next, we're going to create our backend. Now, our backend is essentially defining our WordPress application. We will specify what the upstream servers are, their IP addresses. We can, of course, define host names, and we have an automated service discovery that we can automatically identify your workloads using tags that you have associated with them today when you're running in the cloud. So for instance, if you have a tag that identifies all of your WordPress instances running on Amazon, we can simply tell Nova, hey, look for all the backend servers that have this tag, and we will automatically identify that for you. That is extremely important because in that case, you're not tied to a specific IP address that may change at some point in time or in the future. Leveraging tags, we're able to dynamically resolve and let you scale your application on the back end without having to do anything on the front end. So that's really key. After we define our backend, we will then create the ADC configuration, and that's really the heart of Nova. It's a configuration-centric ADC platform where you define the configuration once, and then you can specify to which hosts it applies to. And again, a host could be deployed everywhere around the world. I simply need to define the config once and say this configuration should be inherited in the United States, Europe, Asia Pac, so on and so forth. And of course, you can see a wide variety of types of ADCs that we can configure. In this example, we will use a simple HTTP ADC configuration. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and deploy it. Once we have the configuration established, we will say deploy that to our specific node from step 1, and then we will see that our website becomes accessible and traffic is routed immediately. Okay. So with that, I'm going to transition here to my desktop. So to be conscious of time, this is going to be a quick demo. And what we can go ahead and do, as we said, the first step is to deploy a node. A node, again, is going to be a host that is going to run our ADC. So what I'm going to do is, this is the Nova dashboard. This is a global summary of the ADCs I have deployed and running in this platform across my entire organization. So first thing I need to do is go to nodes and choose to create a new one. So we're going to give it a name. So this is going to be our Docker node. We're going to run this host on a Docker container here on my local system. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. As you can see, we support all different kinds of VMs and operating systems. But in this case, I will use a Docker installation method. And of course, the system can also deploy that node automatically if you assign one of your cloud storage accounts, cloud accounts to Nova. We'll be able to automate that deployment for you. But in this case, all I need to do is simply copy this line and paste it locally here. I'm going to go ahead and run this. And that's it. Our node was deployed. And at this point, you will see that the node is automatically instantiated and connected to our Nova platform. You can see that this is our node. It's currently initializing, and its status is online. So we're going to wait a few seconds here. Or in the meantime, we can already proceed to step 2. In step 2, we will define our backend. And our backend is going to be, again, WordPress. If we take a look over here, I have 4 different endpoints for my WordPress web application. So I'm going to go ahead and simply copy this IP address, and we're going to go to Backends, and we're going to create a new one. We're going to give it a name. So this is going to be our WordPress backend. As you can see, we support different kinds of service discovery methods. In this case, I'm going to use the simple option where I can specify IP addresses, but previously I've mentioned that we can identify workloads dynamically using tags, and we can simply use this Cloud API function. But of course, we can also choose a DNS automated resolution by defining a specific name servers and typing the host names of our WordPress backend servers. So I'm going to go ahead and choose simple and click create. At this point, I'm going to type in the IP addresses. All my WordPress endpoints are listening on port 80. And I'm going to add all 4 of them. So IPs 4 through 7. And I'm going to go ahead and click update. So now we have a backend definition running on Nova. Next is we want to create an ADC that is going to route traffic to this backend. So to do that, I'm going to click on ADCs, and I'm going to click on Create. As I said, this web application is HTTP based, but we support SSL offloading, Microsoft Exchange, RDP, and of course any TCP or UDP traffic, MySQL and DNS. So in this case, I'm going to call this guy a WordPress ADC, and I'm going to choose HTTP. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. And now I can configure my ADC. I can choose from things like the balancing methods. I can, of course, choose the backends I'm going to be routing traffic to. As you can see, our backend is already selected here. I can do some sophisticated things around ACL management to route traffic to specific hosts for dev, staging, and production by reading, for example, the host header. So we can define all these rule sets and configurations over here. But for now, we're simply going to use the default. We're going to use a default health check system for identifying if a node is online or offline. And for performance and security, we're going to leave it for now as default. But on the security section, we will see that we can enable a WAF function with one click of a button. And we'll see that in a few seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And our ADC was configured. Now, at this point, we have the ADC configuration, we have the backend, and we have the node. All we need to do at this point is simply select the node we want to apply this ADC configuration to. And that's really the uniqueness of Nova, is that the configuration is not tied to the host. The configuration can be applied to any Nova node that we have deployed, whether it's on-prem, in the cloud, or running as a container. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click Attach. And that's it. Nova will take care of that for me. It's going to deploy the node, the ADC configuration, I'm sorry, to my node. And it's going to take a few seconds. And there we have it. Our ADC was loaded to our node, and it's already ready to start routing traffic to our WordPress backend. So if I will type in hello world. You can see I'm able to get to my WordPress application, and this is it. If we go back to Nova and we take a look at our ADC, you will see that our Nova has identified that we have 4 backend servers, right? Those 4 IP addresses I've defined. And what I can do is, let's say at this point I want to enable some security because I'm concerned about potential SQL injections or any type of cross-site scripting attacks. So to do that, it's very simple. So let me show just the before and after type of experience. If I try to do a basic SQL injection by writing an SQL query over here, you will see that I didn't get any error. All I need to do to enable a WAF functionality is simply click on the edit function, go to performance and security, and then here at the bottom, I can choose to enable the Nova WAF. By enabling the Nova WAF and clicking save, Nova will automatically apply that change to my node, and it's going to turn on all that WAF security controls on my website. Okay. So at this point, what we can do is try to run that same query again. Or actually, what I will do is simply open up another tab and try to access a sensitive file. So this file is a sensitive file stored on the system, and our WAF automatically detected that it could be a threat. So it was blocked, and it's forbidden, and this is automatically reported to the Nova Cloud Controller. So if I go back to over here under Nova and click on ADCs again, you will see that we have 1 request that was blocked. I can click on the ADC itself, and I can look at WAF blocks, and you can see that we have an IP address that attempted to access a very sensitive resource. So this really shows how we can, of course, centrally get reporting visibility to all the different types of attacks and log data that it gets captured on the ADC. Okay, with that, of course, this is really just touching the tip of the iceberg, and really shows the strength of how a centralized control plane can apply configurations and turn on functionality and change settings, and of course we can do that globally, but really that's the tip of the iceberg. And if we take a look at this section under providers, you will also see that we have cloud connections and autoscalers. Cloud connections allow us to join to Amazon, Google, and those types of cloud providers to automatically deploy our ADCs without having to even run the instance ourselves. And autoscalers are our ability to automatically scale the system as needed to be able to accommodate an instant increase in user demand, for instance. So to go back to our presentation, I know we're almost at the top of the hour. I'm going to thank you and of course welcome you to contact us. We provide a free community edition that you can register on today and set up as an organization. It will allow you to deploy ADCs through the Nova platform, similar to what we just did together. You will be able to experience the functionality in your environment today. Of course, you're welcome to book a meeting with us. We would be happy to learn and about your needs, about your challenges as far as delivering applications, and be a partner in solving that problem. So with that, I will thank you, and Gabby, I'll hand it over back to you. Okay.
Thanks so much, Simon. It was really, really great. And as we head to the top of the hour, we've got one or two questions from this side, and really is more just around the verticals that we play in from an Aria Nova perspective. We know you mentioned one in terms of a large financial services retailer, but what does the typical Snapt Aria and Snapt Nova customer vertical look like?
Yes. So from a Snapt Aria perspective, we're looking at clients that are require an ADC functionality that could be fully deployed on premise with the ability, of course, to control what we call north to south access to the perimeter. That will be, of course, deployed in every data center or location where you require access. So that Nova Snapt Aria can also be deployed in a cloud provider, and to be able to balance traffic over there as well. Nova really helps combine that manageability, configuration management, visibility, and telemetry information to a centralized platform. And that's really where I would draw the distinction to say that for workloads that are more traditionally managed, VMs, servers that do not necessarily require a global control and visibility from a centralized location, Aria is a terrific fit because it's a very lightweight, cost-effective ADC comparing to traditional F5s and the Citrix types of load balancers and ADCs. What also unique about Aria is that it includes the entire stack. Typically, with those other competitors, you would have to purchase the individual components separately. That adds up not only in terms of cost, but it adds up in terms of complexity as well, because you have separate systems, separate products to handle a WAF functionality versus a load balancer. And really, we offer an integrated stack that is able to deliver all four functions in one. Where Nova is terrific is not only to be able to address that type of delivery model such as Aria, but it can also accommodate modern architectures that are microservices, DevOps related, where you have very lightweight applications running that need to communicate not only with the external world and users, but also communicate within themselves between an application and a database server. Nova is also leveraged to load balance that type of traffic internally as well. Of course, again, with a centralized control, visibility, and access from a single dashboard to be able to reconcile all that information. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simon, and thank you again for your time. If anyone has any follow-up questions, as you can see, you can book a meeting. We're also going to be sending through this deck as well as a follow-up email with more details. Thank you again to everyone for joining, and looking forward to engaging with you soon.